We're gonna go ahead and softball the knee. We can use a lacrosse ball or baseball, of course. Janelle's gonna take that ball and she's gonna put it on the inside of her knee. Now understand, it's not on the bone, it's actually on the muscle, just kind of above the inside of the knee, okay? We call it the VMO muscle. It's kind of the teardrop-shaped muscle down by the the lower part of the quadricep, just on the inside of the knee. And this area gets really, really tight. So be gentle, but make sure that you are looking for the spot where you maybe feel a little bit of discomfort or pain. Breathe through it, and then what Janelle's kind of doing is she's kind of just rotating and moving her leg, and might feel like a ka-chunk, a little thump, like a road bump of the ball, kind of going back and forth across that muscle. That's what we're looking for. We want to dig in there, kind of loosen that up. Foam rolling the inner thigh. This is one where you kind of lay face down, you kind of get your leg out, think like almost like a dog in a fire hydrant, right? And you want to put that roller right up into your crotch, and you are literally going to roll the length of the inside of your thigh as high as up as you can get, all the way down into that inner knee. And you can actually spend some time in that inner knee area as well, right on the muscle there, and just work back and forth, digging in. You find some sensitive spots, you're gonna probably find some good tightness. The inner thighs can get very, very, very tight here, so spend some good quality time here. Take some nice deep breaths. You find a really sensitive spot, stop on that spot, take a few inhale, exhales, and then of course you can just roll back and forth on it. Just really dig in and understand that you're gonna kind of have to move and pivot your body a little bit, but once you find some good spots, once you work this on a regular basis, you'll see some tremendous differences in the way you move and feel. All right, so we're gonna foam roll the front of the thigh, the quadricep muscles. What Janelle's gonna do is she's gonna go ahead and lay on top of the ball, and you can start at the knee or the hip, it doesn't matter which direction you start in, but the idea is you're gonna roll up and down the full length of that thigh. Now, a couple ways you can do this. For some people, they're real super sensitive. When they do this, it kind of hurts really bad. So breathe through it, go up and down, hold those sensitive spots, just like we do with all foam rolling. But you'll notice that Janelle right now is doing it with her opposite leg on the floor, and that's gonna make it much easier or less aggressive. If you need more from this, you can take that opposite leg, put it on top of the leg you're working, and now you're basically fully elevated, except for what's touching the roller and then your arms, and that's gonna put more weight, more pressure into the roller as you go up and down. So now we're gonna roll the side of the thigh. Want to get technical, we're kind of going up and down along where the IT band is. We're really kind of rolling the vastus lateralis muscle, is the side of your thigh, to be non-technical. And what we're going to do is essentially from the knee to the hip, roll the length of the thigh. You'll notice she's got the opposite foot on the ground. What that's doing is that's taking a lot of the pressure off of that thigh, because this could be a real sensitive one for folks. But if you need more pressure, you just stack your legs and you get after it. All the way from the knee, all the way up into the hip. Take your time. You might feel some bumps in the road, and when you hit those bumps, kind of speed bumps, go back and forth over them, breathe, and just get after it. Next up, we're gonna hit the glute. In this example, Janelle is using the foam roller. This could also be done a little bit more aggressively with a softball or a lacrosse ball. And we're kind of getting the glute, we get up into the piriformis up high there. Now, you'll notice that Janelle is doing a little bit more advanced technique. I'd recommend starting with the foot on the ground and just finding the spot. And it can be very sensitive, so you might feel a big ka-junk bump kind of a thing. So work through that. If you want to combine like a good stretch along with that rolling, you need a little more aggression, then you're going to go ahead and cross that leg over the opposite knee and really start digging in. So just work around the entire glute, piriformis, outer glute, the whole butt cheek itself. And again, if you want a little bit more of an aggressive, you need something a little bit more than a foam roller, this is a great way to use a softball or a lacrosse ball. Hip flexor and quad stretch. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start Janelle off in that half kneeling position. The front knee is at 90 degrees, the back knee is at 90 degrees. We call that the 90-90 position. She's using an AirX pad. You can just roll up a towel or mat to get some padding on that knee. And what she's basically gonna do is just kind of slide forward, keeping great posture in the spine, of course, and then don't lean forward. You don't want to like bend over at the hip. So go ahead, Janelle, just demonstrate like what a lot of people do is they'll just kind of like lean forward and lean into it. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for ankle. This is not an ankle mobility exercise. That's something different. She's actually keeping her body really erect, straight up, and she's sliding forward. And a great thing that you can do is, and she's putting her hand on her hip flexor. That's what we're trying to stretch. One of the things I really like to teach people to do is actually put their hand on their glute and flex the glute, because when you flex one side, the muscles on one side of the joint, the opposite side will naturally stretch. For many people, this is going to be enough to get this hip flexor stretched, and even the quad. If we want to get to the kind of the next level, we go ahead and we grab that foot from behind, we pull it in. Got to have a little bit of balance. Up nice and tall, breathe, and now we're really getting to stretch. And again, we're not leaning forward. The taller we get, the more we squeeze that back butt cheek, the more stretch we're going to get through that hip flexor and then down through that quad. Cook hip lift. Okay? This is a phenomenal exercise to really target the glute and kind of learn to feel the glute. Okay? It's a hip bridging variation. I want to specifically point this one out. So Janelle's going to hug one of her knees, and she's going to really pull it in. Now, traditionally, what we do actually is we use like a ball, like a lacrosse ball or a softball, and we wedge it in here between the thigh and the ribs. And the idea is to hold that ball in position. If it falls out, it's because the leg has usually moved away. We want to really keep this in solid. It's kind of what we want to do is we want to shut this side down while we focus on working just this one side. We're working this glute. So she's got her foot in a good position here, about 6 to 8 inches. She might be able to go a little bit further out. Everybody's a little bit different in terms of where that foot's going to be from the butt. And then she's going to drive this foot through the floor, engaging the glute, and coming back down. But again, really pulling this hip in, or this knee in, to just isolate this side. Shut this side down, isolate this side, hold for usually a count of 2 at the top, 1 or 2 at the top, and repeat. And that's going to be your Cook hip lift.